Hello YouTube, welcome to another video of Writing with William. Today for something slightly different, we're going to be looking at a bit of a case study here. This is someone who is almost a hero of mine. I don't really have any heroes, but when it comes to writing and copywriting in particular, I think there are some really big figures in the industry who we can learn a lot from even now. And that figure is David Ogilvy. He is the father of modern advertising. He was unique, he was a pioneer for lots of different reasons. You can look into it if you want, just give him a Google, he will turn up. He's the founder of Ogilvy and Mather, one of the largest advertising firms in the world. His copywriting and his vision, his strategic direction generated hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising revenue with their clients for their firms that they represented. He's a big deal and he's the father of modern day copywriting. Now, he wrote books and he wrote books on advertising. He's written books about his life and autobiographies. So if you want to learn far more, and from the man himself who can probably describe it far better than I can, then please buy one of his books. Confessions of an Advertising Man being one of those. However, I've just picked out 5 lessons which I think we can all learn from. I think are really useful, especially for budding writers who want to make money off their writing or who want to do more of it, turn it from a part-time hobby into a full-time professional endeavor. I think some of these lessons are really important to hear. So without further ado, let's get into it. 5 lessons, 5 secrets from David Ogilvy to make millions of dollars from your writing. Lesson number 1. Be ambitious. This is something that David Ogilvy spoke about quite a lot, and I think it applies in particular to writers, maybe more so than any other field. I think writers in general, they're very introspective. They don't really like to build businesses in quite the same way as extroverted people like to do. They don't really like to work in big teams of people. They like to really just jot down their thoughts and their creative thinking, and they don't really like to open it up to criticism or to committees who will then change it or reword it in ways they wouldn't like. So I think writers, especially the ones that are more creatively inclined, they're not particularly ambitious and they're held back. Something holds them back from taking their writing and sending it out into the world. But this is something that David Ogilvy said you just have to resist as a writer. You've got to blaze new trails, you've got to reach new heights, you've got to push that boat out into the ocean and see what happens. And I think when it comes to writing, that absolutely should be your attitude. You need to be ambitious. Now look, you don't necessarily have to be money motivated. You don't have to do your writing just because you want to be a multi-millionaire. You don't have to do any of that. But what I would say is be giving with your writing. If you write things and you think you're good and you think that you enjoy reading your own words, there's going to be someone out there who will also enjoy it too. But you've got to put it out into the world. Be the type of writer who other people want to read, and then let them have the opportunity to read your work. I think as a writer, that should be your number one aim. You can write into your diary until you're blue in the face, until you're running out of ink and running out of pages, but ultimately, what's the point? Get it out into the world, be ambitious, and make your target audience as big as possible. That's the whole point for writing and creating content in the first place. So don't take my word for it, take David's. Be ambitious. Next is do your homework, or look before you leap. Now look, David Ogilvy was a master at research. He pioneered the way in this space. All of his advertising that he produced for all of his clients included Rolls-Royce, Mercedes, Guinness, Shell, some of the biggest names in the world at that time and in current day time as well. Research was the secret to his success. By doing research and doing your homework before any job that you start on, you automatically know more about the product, about the consumer, about the client, and you can write more words. Personally, from my experience, it's never a problem running out of words. The more research you do, the easier it is to get those words onto the page. As a writer, in my opinion, you should never have writer's block. If you've done your homework, if you've done enough research, there'll almost be too much to write about and too much to say. And the more research you do, the more creative you can get, the more ideas you can have. So do your research. It's the best way as a writer to avoid writer's block and get the best ideas down onto the page. Look, Mozart said it best. He never tried throughout his career to make anything original. What does that mean? It means put a twist on what already exists. Do the research, find the stuff out there that's good and what works, and put your own unique twist on it. If you're trying to be original for the sake of it, what you're basically doing is taking a stab in the dark and hoping for success. Avoid that. You don't need to waste time. do your homework, do the research, and the ideas, the good ideas especially, will flow naturally. Next, number 3, speaking of ideas, you need big ideas. There's no point doing homework if you're just going to bore people to death. Now look, David Ogilvy was very clear about this. In his whole career, where he generated hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, he only had about 20 big ideas by his own accounts. Big ideas are rare. However, when you have them, you've got to act. Something he did, just as a case study, as an example, Guinness. That was a client. Guinness, the lovely stouty beer. I don't like it. A lot of people do though. They love it. They drink a lot of it. He basically had the idea to advertise Guinness as being a perfect accompaniment to oysters, and he took out a huge advert in lots of different publications saying the Guinness Guide to Oysters. No one had ever thought to put those two products together. It was hugely successful and it increased sales for Guinness dramatically. Probably also for oysters too, but that wasn't really what he was going for, I don't think. Anyway, the point is this: if you have a big idea, you have to act. Big ideas are very rare, but the big ideas are the ones that are truly unique, but also truly effective. This doesn't just apply to writing, guys. This applies to life as well. If you have a big idea, you believe in it, and you think, oh, my gut tells me to pursue it, you've got to pursue it, because that's where the magic happens. So, yes, be ambitious. Yes, do your homework. But 3, have big ideas and nurture them to see them through, to make them a reality. Number 4, down with committees. David Ogilvy famously said, I hate rules. Committees are rule-based groups and structures. You find them in large corporations. You say the word bureaucracy, really you mean committee, because that's what committees do. Committees don't create anything. They amend, they critique, they make changes, they never create things. Look, as a solopreneur, writer, freelancer, whatever you want to call it, your greatest strength is your ability to be direct. Be direct with clients, be direct with the work, be direct with your research, be direct with your overall strategic goals. When you're working on your own, yes, it can be a bit lonely. Yes, okay, fine. You may miss company. Okay, maybe you might get there quicker or go further if you had a big team of people. But this is also your greatest strength. Be agile, be quick, be free to directly talk to your clients, to find new clients, and to get the work down and to get it out and to get it as good as possible. So down with committees, work on your own for as long as possible, be independent, be autonomous, but make sure you get the work out there. If you want to grow your team at a later stage to try and scale your business, absolutely, of course you should. But when you're just getting started out, embrace your independence, because honestly, that's what's going to differentiate you, and that's what will get you generating revenue much quicker. Finally, number 5. This is a big one, the pursuit of knowledge. Now, what did David Ogilvy mean by that? He basically meant learn the craft. And this applies to all areas of writing. I don't care if it's copywriting, I don't care if you're writing a book or a novel, if you're ghostwriting, learn the craft. Look, this is one of my weakest areas. I will put my hands up, I will admit. I just like to write, I like to get creative, it's always come naturally, so it's not something I think about in terms of a craft or an art that I have to refine and learn more about. But he's absolutely right, because there are so many different types of clients out there, so many different types of formats of writing that you can explore. The only way to get truly good at all of them is to learn about them. Yes, eventually you'll find your niche and you can really double down on that and get better at it and master it. But when you're starting out, you really do have to learn your craft. There's one thing just putting words down on a piece of paper, but to actually generate money from your writing, to work with clients and be successful, it's so much more than just writing random words on a piece of paper. There's a real art to it, there's a craft, and you have to learn it. You need to know what you're doing. Without that knowledge and without that base understanding, you're not going to move forward. You're going to stand still, go around in circles, and eventually you just have to go back to square one and start all over again. Build incrementally, and you do that by having that foundation, that knowledge. So there you have it, guys, the 5 lessons from the man, the myth, the legend, the greatest to ever do it. No, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about David Ogilvy. Let's just run through them very quickly. Be ambitious. You want people to read your writing, you want to make money from your writing, or at the very least, you want people to appreciate the art that you're putting down. So be ambitious with that. Don't be scared. Don't be too introspective. Get your work out there into the world. Number 2, do your homework. Research gives way to great ideas. Creativity, unlimited creativity, comes from doing that homework and doing that research and understanding the product you're writing about. 3, you need big ideas. They're rare. So when you discover them, double down, make them happen, turn them into a reality. 4, down with committees. You don't want committees. Committees get in the way of your writing. They get in the way of your ability to generate money and to move quickly at speed and be agile. Be a freelancer, be a solopreneur for as long as it makes sense to do so, and embrace that independence. And then finally, number 5, pursuit of knowledge. Understand your craft. Understand the field that you are in and master it, because that is how you really generate revenue and how you really start to enjoy what you do. There you have it, guys. The lessons from David Ogilvy. Being a millionaire is possible, and you can do it from writing. Countless others have done it before, but David Ogilvy, he's the original. He's the guy who made it all possible, the father of modern advertising. Don't listen to me, listen to him. He knows what he's doing. Right, the next video, we're going to talk more about the process of writing. And I know I mentioned homework before in this video, and it's very, very important. So I'm going to touch on that in my next video, show you how I personally do the homework side of things, the research side of things, and I'll show you how important it is. But that'll be the next video. So until then, ciao guys.